now hit the recording button. Just now when I got to the slide telling you that I am recording this, I realized that I was way too fast this morning in introducing our panelists for today, but we didn't miss anything. This is really the very first slide that is of importance. The importance of the slide is really just to let you know that we do indeed record the webinar. I did now hit the record button, and we also will share the slides with you as a PDF so you can download the slides later on. Everyone who's registered for this webinar will receive an email with a link to the recording and the presentation. And yes, of course, you will be able to get in touch with the presenters afterwards, but more importantly, you will have the opportunity today to get in touch with the presenters from Uni-assist and my colleague from Toronto. You are all muted, and so the way you will get in touch with us is through the question panel, the question box that's on your right, and you can type in a question actually while we have the presentation, so you can really type your questions as they come up, and then I will collect them, and then at the very end we will have a Q&A, and if there are a lot of questions, we will make sure that all of your questions get answered, either by just staying a little bit longer, or we will collect the questions and then we will get back to you after the webinar. Now, with that, we jump right into our main section of this presentation. First, we will talk about DAAD, about the degree studies in Germany and general information. And then, of course, it's not enough for you to know that you would like to study in Germany, but also to identify the right program. And my colleague, John Paul, will be present to you the various opportunities for you to find that out. And then, of course, the most important part of this presentation, and I'm again very happy that we have our colleagues from Uni-assist join us today. They will speak about eligibility requirements and also the application procedure. And again, at the very end, we will have a lot of time to answer all your questions. And that's the part where I hand over the microphone to my colleague John Paul, and he will talk to you about DAAD and studying in Germany.
Thank you very much, Honey. At this point, I have to say that I am not receiving your screen shared with me here. So I don't know if that is an issue with my setup, but I'm not seeing the presentation. That said, I have a second screen up, and I can run it from there.
I can share your screen to make it a little easier for you.
No, that would be not a helpful solution because I'm working with two different computers. So okay. I'm going to work from the I have the deck up here in front of me with the exact same presentation, and you can just I will do just that.
I
knew you would. Thank you. Yes, so sorry for that, everyone. Yes, my name is John Paul Kleiner, and I work with the DAAD, German Academic Exchange Service office here in Toronto. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for taking part in this. Over the 3+ years that I have been with DAAD, the topic of degree studies in Germany is one that has seen the interest only grow. And it's quite a significant number of inquiries we get every week here in the office on exactly this topic. So Hani has already gone over the contents. Before we get into the meat of things, I want to just give you a brief sense of who DAAD is, what we do, and how we might assist you. So the German Academic Exchange Service is Germany's national agency for international academic cooperation and exchange, and we were founded in 1925, so we have been in existence for 90+ years. And what do we do? So we provide information and counseling about studying and research in Germany in offices around the world. So our target market, target audience are students and professors, researchers, primarily at the university level, but also to an extent at high schools, who are interested in going to Germany to pursue their studies or conduct research. We're also a granting organization, and this is really at the center of what we do. We offer a wide range of scholarships and grants to facilitate international students and academics who want to go to Germany to do academic activity, and I will touch on a couple of our programs that may be relevant to you. We are also partners with the German universities in their attempts to internationalize. So the German post-secondary system is quite international in its flavor, in its makeup, and DAAD is a partner in helping German universities realize that goal. And then finally, we also have a mandate to support the continued study of German language and culture abroad. So, moving on here to look at degree studies in Germany. So, as I mentioned, German post-secondary education is very international in its flavor. At present, more than 12% of the student body, or approximately 340,000 students in Germany at their universities, are international students. What is driving this interest, this international presence? Obviously, as many of you will know, Germany enjoys a very strong reputation, well-earned reputation as having excellent quality at its universities, so that is attractive to people, obviously. The other thing that has happened in recent years in Germany is that the number of English language degree programs that are on offer, particularly from the master's level up, has increased quite substantially. So at the master's level alone, there are more than 1,000 English language degree programs. So that, of course, is driving interest and increasing the accessibility. The other thing that is undeniably attractive to many students, including students from here in Canada, is the possibility of tuition-free education. Now, not all study programs in Germany are tuition-free, but there are a great many that are, including some programs taught in English, so it is entirely possible to go to Germany as an international student and have a tuition-free education. At present, there is no distinction between international students and domestic students or European passport holders. If there are no tuition fees for domestic students, there are no tuition fees for anyone. Now, this may change in one of the German states, Bundesländer, Baden-Württemberg. They are considering introducing some degree of tuition fees for non-EU passport holders. At the present time, this has not been decided upon, so the rule holds. If it's tuition-free for domestics, it's tuition-free for international students. So that is attractive. So in terms of identifying degree programs at the bachelor level, the first point of contact point of orientation for you, I would suggest, is the web portal Study in Germany. And you can find that by simply doing a keyword search on Google for the phrase Study in Germany. It will take you right there. You see the URL, study-in.de. At the core of this portal is a searchable database with entries on all the degree programs currently on offer at German universities. And you're able to search that database by any number of criteria, but keywords, field of study, location of study, language of instruction, and any matches that are generated are linked directly to the university program pages, and that's where you'll find the detailed information that you need around questions such as eligibility, admissions, application process, fees, if any, and a contact information. Now, so that's a great place to start. Please note, at the bachelor level in Germany, the vast majority of programs are taught in the German language. So if you don't have German, you will find your options limited. There will be opportunities for you, but there will be fewer. And some of those English language programs will be tuition-free, some will not. So that's all important information to note. Also, DAAD North America does not have any scholarship programs to support students graduating from North American high schools or possibly universities who want to go to Germany to do bachelor degree studies. So that's something that's outside of our mandate. We have programs to support bachelor students from Canada who are at Canadian universities who want to make Germany part of that Canadian degree, to go abroad for a study stay or perhaps a language program, but we do not have any program to support bachelor students from Canada who are going to Germany to study. So we'll move to the next slide, and this is looking at the situation surrounding master's level study, and it's largely the same information. Again, excellent point of orientation is the Study in Germany website. Same database contains the information on master's programs. As I mentioned earlier, at the master's level, the options for English language study increase substantially. So with those 1,000+ English language master's programs, you will find virtually every field of interest, field of research covered in those English language programs. And at the master's level, DAAD does have a program to which students from Canadian universities who graduate with a Canadian bachelor degree can apply. So this is the DAAD Study Scholarship, and this scholarship supports exceptional bachelor degree holders from Canadian universities who want to go to Germany to do a master's, and the support it provides is a living allowance to cover your costs of living while you're in Germany. It doesn't pay any tuition fees that may be levied, but if you're in a tuition-free program and you're fortunate enough to get one of our scholarships, you can essentially go to Germany, do it up to a 2-year master's degree at no cost to yourself. So the deadlines for that program are typically in the late fall, so end of October, early November. So if you're thinking of applying to German universities, you need to be well organized. The deadline for next year's study has obviously passed already, but next fall you could certainly apply to us and we'd be happy to consider your application. Now moving on to students at the doctoral level, the orientation point changes a bit. So the best way to go about that would be to visit the Research in Germany web portal. So that's at research-in-germany.org, and there's a PhD section on there, and that's an excellent resource for all aspects of doctoral studies in Germany, and you'll be able to find information on study programs, so both structured programs, which is essentially a model very similar to our North American style of graduate school, where there's some coursework and you're in a cohort of students and you then go on to write your dissertation. But there's also opportunities on the Research in Germany website to identify individual study programs, and that's the traditional way of studying for doctorate in Germany, which would see you work with an individual supervisor to construct a custom program of study, and you would work largely on your own. So depending on, I would say, your character and the type of interests you have, this can be an excellent opportunity, and it's certainly open to international students as well. And if you go on the Research in Germany web portal there, you'll find information on how you can find potential supervisors, etc. It also has a plethora of information on the logistical side of things, and the same goes for the Study in Germany website. Issues around working, accommodation, all those things can be found there. Of course, the language of instruction at the doctoral level can also be in English in some cases, many cases, but not always. You'll find information on there about that. And I'm happy to say that DAAD also has a program, the DAAD Research Grant Doctoral Program Stream is designed to help graduates of North American master's programs who want to do their PhD in Germany with their costs of living. So exceptional students receive this, and they get a living allowance for every month that they're in Germany doing that doctoral program. As I say, a standard program is typically 3 years in length. In exceptional cases, this scholarship can be renewed, but it's a great opportunity if that's something you're considering. And before I hand things over to the colleagues from Uni-assist, who will get into those really important issues around eligibility and the application process itself, I want to take a minute just to touch on issues around professional studies. This is something that we get a lot of inquiries about. Yes, shorter answer is study in the professional fields is possible, and by those I'm referring to medicine, vet med, law, education, those professions that are typically overseen here in Canada by a college of some sort or a professional body. The important thing to understand around professional studies in Germany is, not surprisingly, those studies are set up in a way that assumes that the student will be practicing that profession, if not in Germany, but in most cases that's certainly the assumption, in Europe. So the contents are obviously geared towards that, and I would encourage anyone who's interested in pursuing that type of study in Germany to first contact the oversight bodies here in Canada, the colleges, the professional associations that oversee that. Because if your plan is to return to Canada, you need assurances that your credentials will be recognized. So that's something you'll want to do. The other thing that I would point out for professional studies in Germany is that the vast majority of those programs are taught in German, and that the language requirements, the level of German knowledge is extremely high. So often C1 on the European language scale at least, or even higher. So fluency or near fluency is essentially what's required. Admissions are also highly competitive. The same reason that these studies are attractive to many Canadians holds for students from around the world, and so you will be competing for often a very limited number of spaces for international students. The number of spaces in those programs varies from year to year, from location to location. The very good place to orient yourself about the opportunities in such fields is, again, the Study in Germany website and the database, the program database on there. You'll be able to search for those specific fields, find out where they're taught, and write and introduce yourself to those specific study programs at those universities of interest and find out where you stand. So that is my section here. On the next slide, you'll see there's some contact information for me. If you have questions afterwards that come to you, by all means, direct them to me there. As Hani mentioned earlier, we are recording this presentation, so you'll be able to access this afterwards, go through, and generate questions possibly that way. But at this point, I would like to pass the baton across the Atlantic to the colleagues from Uni-assist, express my thanks to them for making themselves available here. They are an excellent resource for all of your questions regarding accessing German universities, and I look forward to learning something from them now as well.
Steffi, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you. One moment, please. One moment. We just face a little time gap now. Just 1 second.
Well, in the meantime, the audience sees our wonderful faces again for them to see who they're talking to, or who's talking to them, actually. While you're working on your technology, I just wanted to briefly step in. So I've had a lot of really great questions, and I'm trying my best to answer them during the presentation. And again, if I think that it's a question that would be interesting to all of the listeners today, I respond quickly that I will take that to Q&A. So please be patient. We will answer your question. So only if it's something very brief and maybe something that's not necessarily of everyone's interest, I will answer it right away. Otherwise, I will take it to the Q&A. So please keep it up. We have plenty of time at the end, and I've already received great questions, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of those questions coming in. Steffi, are you ready to take over the presentation and show us your screen?
Yes. So, one moment. We are quite ready. I'm sorry, we face difficulties in opening our document. The computer says that it cannot be supported for, I'm not sure which reason. I'm sorry.
John Paul, do you have the presentation open by any chance?
Yes.
I don't have it open, but I will get it open right now. 1 second.
Oh, thank you very much.
Sure.
And if that's the case, I would like to share John Paul's screen with you so that we see the presentation.
I'm going to have to forward it to you, honey, because as I'm not on I don't have it on that computer. I'm using my laptop. It's a long story, one that is probably not interesting for our listeners.
Okay, if that's the case, then...
I'm sending it right now. There we go. It is on its way.
Okay. Bear with us here. That's we tested it, and of course it worked perfectly. And now we're in the middle of the presentation, and we have some issues. But here we go. Okay.
Hi, my name is Małgorzata, and I want you to present some really relevant information concerning applying with certificates from Canada. And maybe because we lost some time, so I will go to the next slide. And the first information that I want you to give, it's a general information that should help you to understand what we exactly expect and why we are expecting it. I wanted to tell you something about the education system in Germany. So in Germany, generally, to attend university, student must receive a school living certificate. It's so-called Abitur. And it's from an academic streaming high school. So they are going to high school 12 or 13 years, and then with the school living certificate they can apply for a study in Germany. In those schools, these schools teach a general education curriculum with focus on generally independent subject, generally a general education subject, such as mathematics, German, another foreign language, science, humanities, and the social science. And because of this reason, the Central Office of Foreign Education, that is responsible for the guidelines that we are obliged to follow while evaluating application, they try to find an equivalent while students applying for foreign countries. So the Central Office for Foreign Education check if the certificates from another country is equivalent to a German education system. Let me start now presenting you the information concerning the certificates from Canada. And let's start with high school, Canadian high schools and CEGEP diplomas. So generally a direct admission is possible, but it's possible first with high school diploma from Ontario and from Quebec, and only if the requirements set for this school living certificate are met. About the requirements, I will tell you about this later. and with other diplomas from all other provinces and territories. It's possible, but only in combination with one successful year of studies in a bachelor program at a recognized university. Otherwise, with only with high school diploma, only an admission to so-called preparatory course is possible. A direct admission is also possible with a degree from a Canadian university. So with your bachelor degree from Canada, that takes normally 3 or 4 years, you are eligible to apply for a direct study at a German university, or you can apply also for a master program. For a master program, normally in the similar field of study, but it is also, but not all universities require it. So it's sometimes it's possible to apply for a different field of study. But be careful, we are talking about bachelor degrees and diplomas or certificates. So studies at colleges usually do not qualify for admission to German universities. Hani, can you change the slide? Thank you. And now maybe you can skip to another one. And I will tell you something about Ontario. And with Ontario, you are eligible to apply directly for a study in Germany at a German university. But there are some strict requirements that have to be met. And first, what you need is you need 6 university preparation courses, so-called UPCs courses in the last year of high school. Mixed courses or college courses are not accepted. You need a minimum grade of 65% in every course that is relevant. You need 2 languages, English or French. One is a native language and another is a second language. Then you need mathematics, and you need science, chemistry, physics or biology, and you need 2 additional subjects. When you meet these requirements, then a direct admission is possible. If not, it is only admission to a preparatory course, it's so-called Studienkolleg, is possible. But also, if you meet the another requirement, so you need at least 3 UPC courses, at least 1 language and 1 mathematical and or science subject. And as I explained at the beginning, it's because we try to compare if the school leaving certificate from Canada is similar, is equivalent to a high school from Germany. And please note also that not all courses are recognized. I will give you an example. Mathematics of data management is not recognized as a mathematics. So when you have only this subject, then we cannot accept it as a mathematics, and then a direct admission is not possible. A direct admission is also possible with certificates from Quebec, with diplôme d'études collégiales, with formation générale. A direct admission is possible. You need to prove 24 till 28 successful courses. Or you can apply with Diploma d'études collégiales from different subject areas. But then we cannot say at the moment if it's possible to apply for all courses, or you are eligible only to apply for some courses. That is that your admission is subject restricted. Normally, we will, when you have a certificate, most of the time we have to contact Central Office for Foreign Education and then check what kind of admission is possible. But generally, with school living certificate from Quebec, a direct admission is possible. And now let me tell you some important information concerning certificates from other areas, other provinces. Generally, all of the certificates, they have there are different requirements, but there are some common points. And a direct admission, applying with this school living certificate, as I said before, is possible only when you have one additional year of study from recognized university in a bachelor program. But anyway, then first you have to meet requirements in your school living certificates. The requirements you can find on ANABIN. It's a homepage of Central Board of Foreign Education. But we try to put here some common points that to put they all together so that you can see what generally is required. So usually you need a certain credit or courses in year 10, 11, 12 with certain overall grade. Often you need 5 non-related general education subjects in the last year of high school. You need 2 languages, one with a center course number in 2 years courses. So mostly it's 20 credits per subject. You need math and a science subject, one with a certain course numbers. And very often subject must be passed with certain grades. And it's really different in each state, so please visit ANABIN to see what exactly you need with your applying with your certificate. And again, pay attention that not all courses are recognized. For example, some vocational courses, such as career and life management, what we often see in certificates from Alberta, they are not recognized. Or food science, yoga, design from Nova Scotia, they are also not recognized and cannot be taken into consideration. As I mentioned already, you can find the specific criteria on the homepage of Central Office for Foreign Education. It's a homepage of ANABIN. It's available only in German. But as John Paul said, that most of the courses are taught in German, so probably you will need German knowledge proficiency anyway while applying for a study in Germany. But what is also very helpful, and if you at the moment you don't have this German language proficiency, you can find information in English at the homepage of DAAD. but we recommend you, if you can, to check the requirements at ANABIN, because there are the most up-to-date requirements. The requirements can also be changed, and if they are changed, then the latest version is at ANABIN. What is also important information you can find at concerning preparatory courses, you can find at studienkollegs.de. And we also recommend you to visit websites of a university of your choice. Also, at our homepage, you can find some information that can be helpful. Now we also prepare for you information concerning evaluation of your final grade. While evaluation final grade, so-called modified Bavarian formula is used, where we take always maximum possible passing grade, minimum passing grade, and your point average achieved. What is important when it comes about minimum passing grade, we are taking not minimum passing grade for a subject, but minimum passing grade required for obtaining a degree.
Thank you, Margot-Jutta. Now, hello, my name is Steffi. I work at the service department of Uni-assist, and sorry for my deep voice today. I'm having a little cold, but I hope that wouldn't disturb my presentation. Well, if we could go one step back, I would like to tell you a little more about Uni-assist, and now you have gotten information on the requirements there are. I would like to give you a small overview on how to apply via Uni-assist, and actually also information what Uni-assist does when we check your application. Well, Uni-assist is an association of 182 universities at present, and we actually grow. We were founded in 2003, and we were only starting with a very few universities, but we just managed and we grew over the last years. So right now we have 182 member universities. So we also cooperate with the DAAD and with the Rectors Conference in Germany. And what we do also, our main task is to pre-check applications to just see if your certificates are equivalent to German university entrance qualifications. So what do? We actually pre-check your application, and there's two procedures. You apply at a German university via Uni-assist, or you submit your application to Uni-assist and we issue a preliminary review documentation. And with that, you apply directly at a university. Why is that information important for you? Well, actually, as soon as you know which university in Germany you want to apply at, it is certain which kind of procedure you have to follow. If you apply at a German university via Uni-assist, and if you apply to get a VPD for your direct application, we will always determine whether your educational certificates qualify in principle for admission to university studies in Germany. We will also calculate your German equivalent of your final grade. However, if you apply via Uni-assist at a German university, we also evaluate your language competency and course-specific criteria as set down by the university. That is not the case in the VPD procedure, as we do not check usually your German proficiency. If you apply via the regular procedure, then we forward your application to the university electronically. In case you do use a VPD, then we will issue that document to you and you then apply directly to the university. The university will then further process your application and decide on your admission. So now, moving on, here's a small guideline on how to apply successfully. It is first of all, as Jean-Paul mentioned in the beginning, it is always recommendable to get in touch with the university of your choice in order to gather information on the general and specific admission requirements. Then it is advisable to apply online and submit the relevant documents to Uni-assist. Then to pay the handling fees and track your application. And now I will just provide more detailed information on each point. Well, the first thing is just to gather information on the admission requirements as such. Well, these include prior education, subject requirements, language competencies, minimum grade, work experience, CV, recommendation letters, and so on. That means you will have to meet the general requirements for higher education access in Germany and course-related criteria as set down by the higher education institution. Furthermore, there are formal requirements that must be met. So the university of your choice determines if you have to apply using officially authenticated hard copies or if it is enough to apply with simple hard copies or digital copies of your certificates, handed in either by you or by the issuing institution. Usually one can say that all documents need to be submitted in paper form and that certificates generally need to be authenticated if not sent by the issuing institution to Uni-assist. Furthermore, further admission requirements just also apply to the guideline, to the deadline you have to match. That is also important as they can vary from course to course, and it's also if you have to visit the Studienkolleg before or you want to take part in a German language course, just make sure that you see which guideline in that case applies. Usually from around May to 15th July for winter semester, from the beginning of December to 15th January for summer semester enrollment. That is the overall timeline. Yet Uni-assist cooperates with 182 member universities, yet it is really important that you get in touch with the university and find out whether you need to apply via Uni-assist. That is due to the fact that the universities determine which applicant groups and courses Uni-assist is responsible for. In case you get to know that you do not need to apply via Uni-assist, then please submit your application directly to the university of your choice. Now, we go on. When you find out that you need to apply via Uni-assist, then please apply online and submit your documents to Uni-assist. Get registered in the Uni-assist online portal and create your application online for each course at each university. Please submit your applications electronically before printing, signing and sending them to Uni-assist along with the documents as required. Then you can track your online status of your application, of course, before it is just important that you pay that you pay the application fees. It is 75 euros for the first application per semester, and it is 15 euros for each additional application within the same semester. You will find our payment options and information on the fees on our website, as you can choose to pay either by credit card or you can transfer the payment. Now, you can, of course, track the status of your application. We will always keep you informed about the status of your application. You will automatically receive both a confirmation of receipt of your application and information on the pre-check results. You can check the current status of your application in your online account, and of course you will be contacted if there are documents missing. So, when we move on, what happens if your application was handed in incomplete or not in time? Your application cannot be forwarded to the university, or a VPD cannot be issued to you. But you can submit missing documents within the application period at any time, and we will review your application again, and a new result will be sent to you and the university. That's why we recommend to you to contact the university you want to apply to get all the information on the admission criteria, deadlines, and so on. It is also very important that you apply as soon as possible, at least 6 weeks before the deadline expires. You will then have the chance to add any missing documents to your application. So, if there are further questions on that, and if you want to have further information, of course, please feel free to contact us either just now, and we're happy to answer your questions, or if you have any questions arising afterwards, you can always send us a message via our contact form, or calling us. We are always there for you between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. in our Berlin office. Also, you can write us a letter, and here's the address in 11507 Berlin. Thanks very much for your attention. It was a pleasure. I hope we have helped you a little bit with our presentations already. And now we are happy to just receive your questions.
And there are quite a few of them. I've tried to organize them as best as possible. So let's jump right in, and I'm going to start with Uni-assist, and then depending on the time we'll address all of the DAAD questions, but I've written them down, so you will definitely get answers for that. But since you are available here, I wanted to get the Uni-assist questions out of the way first. So the first question I have is regarding the language diploma. There in the US and Canada, the DSD2, so the Deutsche Sprachdiplom, is offered at schools, and so I think there's a little confusion about the equivalence of that to the Goethe certificate level, and if you, or Jean-Paul, maybe if you're familiar with that, if you could elaborate on that. Basically, the requirements for the universities, oftentimes it's a little bit muddy if it's C1 or C2 that's required, and then the question, is the DSD2 really all the students need to take if they do take the test in Canada? Uni-assist, are you able to answer this question a little bit more in detail?
Yeah, so it's generally it depends on a program, and it depends on the university you're applying for. Generally, DSD2 with passed with all levels with C1, then it's enough for a direct admission. But it really depends.
Okay, Jean-Paul,
yeah, it depends on the program.
Mm-hmm. Jean-Paul, is there anything that you have to add based on your experience with the universities?
I have nothing to add on that topic.
Okay.
The answer that it depends, it covers it, so there is no hard and fast rule, unfortunately.
Yeah, and just like a little bit based on the my experience. So C1, so all of the universities, they will accept that for the admissions. So if you're interested in a degree program offered in German, that is certainly enough to get you into the program, and then really it's up to the university to either accept the DSD2 as the final certificate for the student to pursue degree program in German, or the university may require an additional test, the DSH, or the test stuff, but in Germany, basically every university offers that, and at that point it's definitely accessible, so it's fairly easy for students then to take it. But again, it's really up to the university, so our recommendation really is check the university website and see what is required, and is this required as the final test, or do students actually need to take an additional test once they get to Germany. Then we have a question about the passing grade. So German universities, unlike in Canada, where you have to really apply only for the university, not the specific degree program, there are passing grades. And so how do students actually find out what grade they need to have, yeah, how does that differ from degree program to degree program?
So most of the time they have to just visit the homepage of the university or of the program of their choice, and then they can find the information.
Okay. Yeah, so so in English you would say GPA, the grade point average. In Germany you would look for NC, numerus clausus, and really if you type in NC or numerus clausus and then the university in addition to bachelor's or master's, in most cases you actually get the first results. It would be a PDF with a list of the degree programs and with the required GPA, so you get a better sense of what is actually required. Then we have a question about medicine. So we talked a little bit earlier about like certain professional degrees. What if someone wants to study medicine or psychology or law? Would they also apply through Uni-assist, or would there be a different application? Like, would they have to go through a different application procedure?
Well, it actually would depend on the university as such. You know, if a university just decides that all international students, despite of their background, just have to apply via Uni-assist, and Uni-assist check if the certificate is equivalent to a German Abitur, then they just must submit all their documents to Uni-assist basically, and we would then check the equivalency and inform if we can forward an application or not.
Okay. And in regards to the application process in Studienkolleg, you've mentioned that students that are not quite eligible for direct admission would have the opportunity to go to Studienkolleg for a year. I often get questions about that too, and I think it's a little bit muddy of like, is this an option? Is this something where someone who also doesn't feel quite ready to study at a German university right away, is someone could opt in to go to Studienkolleg for a year? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that process of who actually can go or needs to go to a Studienkolleg? And is there an option, or is that really the decision that the student Studienkolleg or Uni-assist makes.
No, it's not. It's not an option really, because when you are eligible to apply directly to the university, then you cannot go and visit Studienkolleg. And when you are not eligible for a direct admission, then first you have to go to preparatory course, and after 1 year you have to pass an exam, and then you can go, then you can apply directly to the university.
Yeah. And also, what we often get that question, you know, that applicants just want to have more information, as they know this includes a Studienkolleg includes special courses and also a German education, you know. It includes a German language preparatory courses, and you know that's quite popular among students. However, as Margotjetta just says, you cannot choose to do a Studienkolleg, you have to do Studienkolleg, and they have also limited places, you know, they have limited
spots.
Yes, spots, thank you very much. So you would have to apply for it, and you would have to take an exam in order to be admitted to the Studienkolleg, but then you will be enrolled at that university and you take courses for 1 year. After that you would have to do the Feststellungsprüfung. That's what the exam in the end is called, and that grade also will be shared with your overall school grade, you know, so that's why it's also quite important. If you have a good exam in the end, you get an overall good grade for it. The overall school grade will be combined with that Studienkolleg grade as well.
Now, can I jump in here with a question? So, I'm not clear on what the process is. So a student applies, they are not eligible for direct entry, and that is determined by Uni-assist. At what point, or does the student receive a communication outlining specifically what is lacking in their high school diploma, in their school leaving certificate, and does Uni-assist or the university communicate with them saying these are options for you? So that's the first part. The second part is if they're only missing 1 or 2 high school credits in specific areas, I assume it's possible for them to go back here to night school or continuing ed and get those credits and then apply again. Can you address those 2 situations? How are communications handled? What can people expect to hear?
Yeah, so generally applicants always receive a letter from us with results of our evaluation. And so as I said, while applying with school living certificates, not from Quebec and not from Ontario, then with school living certificates from all other provinces, then only an admission to a preparatory course is possible, and only if the requirements in school living certificate are met. When something is missing, yeah, so of course we inform what is missing, and then it's when they are retaking a course again, and it's hard now at the moment for me to say to give you a general answer, because most of the cases we have to contact a central office for foreign education.
Right.
And there the final decision is made.
Okay, but if a student needs to take a Studienkolleg, or if there is, for instance, a student is applying for an English language bachelor program, and there's an English language preparatory course available for that, is that information that is automatically shared with the applicant? or is that something that they need to follow up on with the university and say, okay, I didn't make it in, what can I do so that you will consider me? That is a question that I do get.
Yeah, the problem is that when someone applies for a bachelor program that is taught in English and is not eligible to apply directly to the university, then it is a problem, because first you have to do a preparatory course that is taught in German. So an option it is to study 1 year in Canada and then apply directly for a program that is taught in English.
Right. Okay, but there are English language prep courses, are there not?
No.
Okay, that is totally new to me.
Yeah.
No, I thought that there were prep courses specifically for English language bachelor programs. That is what we've... Okay.
Preparatory
courses. These are fee-based courses, so unlike the Studienkollegs, which are often tuition-free, these are English language fee-based courses designed to feed students, prepare students for English language degree programs. That was information that I had from DAAD. Not to your knowledge.
No, unfortunately not. What we hear, however, that there are some maybe private offers to students, but that is not in our, immediate scope of information we can just provide.
Okay.
Okay, and I mean, you already answered that somehow, but I think there are quite a few questions about that, so I wanted to ask the questions again. So if students don't come from the regions where Ontario and Quebec that are eligible in certain cases to study in Germany just with a high school diploma. So basically those students outside of that area will always have to either go to a Studienkolleg or study at a Canadian university for a year or maybe more to be eligible. So basically there is no combination with advanced placement and like the classes that students took outside of those areas where it would be possible. Is that a general answer you can confirm?
I would recommend to send everything what they have. So I mean, if they took AP or SAT or then they should send it to us. We cannot give you an answer now, because then in those cases, in those mixed cases, when we have documents, certificates from different countries, most of the time we have to contact Central Office for Foreign Education.
Mm-hmm. And so for the evaluation, do you take that throughout the year, or is there, so basically for someone who's not yet ready to really apply to university but will need to know if he or she is eligible or if there's anything that's missing, are applicants able to apply or basically send you the information at any point, and can they create an account at any point, or is there a timeline that they have to meet?
Well, it depends on certain situations or circumstances. First of all, if an applicant is, based on that information we have now provided already, is already sure that he or she must go to Studienkolleg, then of course he should consider the deadline for applications for Studienkolleg. That is really important. And as I pointed out, it's always recommendable to apply as early as possible, at least 6 weeks before the deadline. But if it is possible, even earlier than that, in case any documents is missing, he or she will then have time to submit that documents to us. But for all other cases, in case someone is not sure yet what in his or her case applies, just also follow that recommendation and apply as early as possible. So in case we would have to contact the Central Office for Foreign Education, it might take a bit of time. So that's why it's also good just to have a little bit of time left for you to do all your preparations in advance.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
May I offer another follow-up question? So
Yeah.
I've run into the issue here. So you mentioned the deadline window, and it obviously varies from program to program. But the challenge that some of the applicants may run into is that certainly in Ontario and much of English-speaking Canada, and I'm not completely familiar with the school year at the CEGEP, but end of June is the end, and sometimes there is a gap between when the students would get that official transcript. They have a temporary, which is essentially the accurate final transcript, but sometimes that is not issued, the official version, in time for a deadline. Is there any flexibility on those deadlines, whereas all the other parts, all the other elements of an application are in place? The only thing that needs to come is that final high school transcript. Is there any flexibility there, or is it hard and fast if you can't meet that deadline? Or does that vary as well?
It depends on the university again, because some universities they have it in mind and they take it into consideration. So they have different deadlines for those students, for those applicants.
Right. Okay. Great.
The next question is about the specific classes. You mentioned earlier that certain classes for math, for example, are not accepted. I have one question specifically. The attendee asked if earth science, for example, and astronomy are accepted. So for those two specifically, but then also in general, do you have a list of courses that you see? You mentioned earlier that from a certain area you see certain courses on transcripts over and over again. Do you have a list somewhere that you share with interested students so they can look at the list and see what are the courses that are definitely not accepted for certain requirements?
No, unfortunately not. There is no list. It's most of the time when we don't get like regular courses, like instead of science courses that is not biology, chemistry, or physics. When we have done different courses, we have to contact again central office for foreign education, and but unfortunately we don't have a list with what courses are not relevant.
Okay.
That are not sufficient.
Okay. So really then in that case, if there's any course that's not obvious and it's not listed, then anyone who's interested will really need to send in the transcript to Uni-assist for evaluation.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I would like to get a few questions, like general questions that I'm sure John Paul can answer too. Visa requirements. Just a heads up, as DAAD and Uni-assist, we're not really officially allowed to really give detailed information about visas, but can you generally guide interested students to where they find information for the visa and how they go about applying for a visa, like in terms of the timeline when they apply for a university, John Paul?
Sure. So the best source of information regarding student visas here in Canada is the German consulate in Toronto. They handle this matter for all of Canada. And if you go to just simply Google search Toronto German consulate, you'll find all their contact information on there. You can typically make an appointment, speak to someone on the phone, and they will advise you what the procedure is. I can say, generally speaking, for Canadian passport holders who have a letter of acceptance from a German university, it's usually a fairly pro forma process. You would take that letter and submit it to the consulate, and they would process it and issue you with a student visa. This is something that obviously then has to happen after you have that formal letter of admission. You can't apply speculatively. It's a process that takes place after. So it can be a fairly hectic, compressed process, because obviously you won't be receiving your letter of acceptance until late in the summer, possibly even into early September, and your studies start some point in October, so there's a short timeline. The consulate, again, is prepared for that. They're obviously aware of those timelines and do their best to process student visas, and I have to say we receive very few complaints that there are any issues around that. Is there anything to add to that, Hani, from your experience?
Well, I mean, for U.S. students, and I think that's also the case for Canada, is that they don't actually need to get a visa while they are in the U.S. and Canada, and that they apply for it in Germany. And really, what I've learned from the U.S. Consulate is that there is an entry visa, but essentially that is something that you as Canadian citizens don't need because there is an agreement. So all of those students who apply for a visa while they're still at home, they apply for a visa that only grants them exit, which is not really necessary, and so everyone will need to apply for the student visa in Germany, because what's issued in Canada and the US is not a student visa that's valid for longer term, but is only really good for the initial entry. And I think this is only relevant for those that have a passport that's not Canadian or US.
Interesting.
And so I would definitely recommend going to the consulate's website for more information. But speaking to the consulate here, essentially, if you are a Canadian or a U.S. citizen, applying for something here just adds to the stress, but it doesn't really save you the time while you are in Germany, because this is still something that you need to apply for while you are there.
And many German universities do advise along those lines that the students simply apply once they're there, and it leads to some confusion. So thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah. And then we have, I think, a few listeners that are German, that do have a German passport, and I think there's a little bit of confusion when it comes to the application process, and if that actually changes anything. And that, I think, is also a good question for Uni-assist. So if someone has a German passport but essentially has a high school diploma that is not from a German school, how does the German nationality actually matter in the application process? Is that something that is an advantage to the student or a disadvantage, or does that really not matter for the step-by-step that they need to do in the application process?
Well, that is also an important question, and we often actually hear that from students who want to inform in advance. Well, if you have a German passport and you only have a German passport, then it is a different question. Or if you have two passports, that is also a different situation. Well, in both cases, just contact the university, basically. Just ask them how you should apply. It could be quite easy that the university just tells you, oh, if you are German, then please apply directly at our university. Or it could be that the university says, oh, if you have a German passport but you have international certificates, please submit them to Uni-assist. Yeah, it could be. It is good if you have that information in mind, that it could be different way of proceeding with your application. Yeah, but if you have two nationalities, however, just also ask the university how to proceed, as it could be a different quota. Yeah. That you could be in if you apply as a German citizen or as an international citizen. Yeah, so that might be also of relevance.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, really in that case, it's always best to, if you're not certain and if they don't have guidelines on their website, to really get in touch with the university to make sure that you follow their guidelines, because some universities may handle it a little differently than others. I have two more questions. The first one is, so when students apply here in North America, they actually apply fairly early for the fall semester after they graduate from high school. When would a student need to actually apply if, so what is the timeline for the application for the winter semester, say, of this year, and then the summer semester of 2018, and then for those that are listening that are going to apply a little later, you can just change the year at the end of the answer here.
Mm-hmm. Well, if anyone just considers to apply for the winter term now, it is quite a good time to start now, because in a few weeks the summer semester will start in Germany at around, let's say, April, but shortly followed the application process will start for the winter term. And you know, usually the deadline is around 15th of July. However, for Studienkollegs and some courses, the deadline might be earlier than that date. So it is quite good if you already have your certificates to gather them. Just wait for the universities to open the online application at Uni-assist website, and then to follow all the steps, you know, create your application and submit your certificates to Uni-assist. If the winter term application does not, you know, is not possible for you, or you would like to apply for the summer term, then it's around, let's say, January is the deadline for the summer term applications, but could be varied for a little earlier than that, but for that you still have a bit more time now.
Mm-hmm. And just to add to that, if you think about maybe applying for the summer term as a freshman, please keep in mind that most degree studies really only take freshmen for the winter semester. Some do it for both, but the majority really only admits freshmen for the winter semester. So again, for the deadline, and if they take applications for freshmen in both terms, please go to their websites. And you've heard this several times today, but really this is really important, and that's where you've really find out the university-specific regulations, to go on their website and find out what the specific regulations are. We are quite far in advance in terms of time. I think one of the questions that I still had, that I do also get every once in a while, is, are there age limits? So for students that, for example, decide a little bit after high school, maybe after they worked in a job for a while, and they decide to go back and earn a degree, is there any age limitation to pursue a bachelor's, or even then to continue with a master's later on? Or is it really just about the qualifications that for students to be eligible for a bachelor's or master's?
Yeah, you can easily say so, that there's no limit in age limitation for students who want to come to Germany. There's rather a limitation to the actual number of courses of study you want to do. That is basically, or usually it is limited, but no limitation in age at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there anything that you would like to add from your end, that you haven't mentioned, maybe a question that wasn't asked but you feel is really important, you would like to say before we finish this webinar for today?
Maybe what is also important, and you know, for students who come from French-speaking federal states in Canada, is to have in mind that to submit documents also in translated copies of their certificates as well, as Uni-assist accepts only German or English certificates. Yeah, that would be also important. And from my point of view, I wish you good luck for application. I know from all experiences we have here that it might be quite complex and sometimes seeming difficult one to get access to a German university, but I think it's worth it, and in case we can help you with our guidance, do not hesitate to contact us.
Great, thank you. Jean-Paul, from your end, from Canada, is there anything
I don't have anything
to
add. No, I don't at this point. Just thanks again to everyone for taking the time to join us, and thanks to the colleagues from Uni-assist for all that very helpful information.
Okay, there are still questions coming in, so we're at the end of this webinar now. Again, in Germany it's quite late already, so I don't want to keep Steffi and Margosata too much longer. If you do have questions that we didn't get to right now, please send an email to us or contact Uni-assist. You see the contact information on the slide. For the DAAD Information Center Toronto, it's daadca@daad.org. I will upload the presentation here within the next day or two, along with the presentation, so you can listen to it again, you can download the presentations, and then of course you can get in touch with us if there's anything that isn't answered, wasn't answered now, or if you have questions coming up later. Again, thank you to my colleague in Canada, and of course thank you very much Steffi and Margosata from Uni-assist for joining us today and staying late in Germany for this webinar. And for everyone who's listening, thanks for joining us today, and keep an eye out for future webinars that are posted on our webinar page. So thank you again, and have a wonderful day and a wonderful evening. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.